Dario again. Dun, dun, dun. I just wanna be Dario again. Dun, dun. Life I love is making podcasts with my friends. Oh, I can't wait to get Dario again. All right, we're back, everybody. I gotta tell you, I'm loving that song every time, more and more. It puts me in a good mood, and I was actually in a very bad mood before I started making this podcast because it's the second time I've had to do it. It's the second time I'm having to do this review because the previous time there was an audio issue, so yeah, I couldn't do it. Or at least it wasn't good enough for me to post. So here we go again. Over the weekend, or earlier in the week, I don't even remember when I did. Earlier in the week, I saw the latest Flash movie, the one with Ezra Miller, the live action one. And I have some thoughts, mostly not positive ones, so let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, so like I said, I didn't particularly love the movie for several reasons. And I think the biggest issue is that this movie's based off of Flashpoint Paradox, which is a Flash storyline, maybe one of the best, most popular Flash storylines, and also an animated movie called Flashpoint Paradox, which is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. So I knew it wasn't going to be anywhere near as good as Flashpoint Paradox. I just did not expect it to be, this bad. Or something that could be inspired in something that good. I did not expect them to go so crazy out of the way from the stuff that made the other one good. So, short version of this, I'm glad I did not pay money to go watch it in the theater. That's number one. That's the most important thing. I'm happy I didn't give any money, because it's one of those movies that, it's okay, it's watchable, but pay to go watch it in the theater watchable? Not really. Especially because the effects for this movie are terrible. Now, there's some things that look pretty good. In fact, I'll say really good. But the effects when they're in the Speed Force just look disgustingly bad. It looks super stupid. Now, I read some interviews about, the director and the special effects guy, and they said that they wanted to make it look off on purpose, because they're in the Speed Force. And I just don't buy it. Because let's say, sure, you can make things look off and look good. They did not make it look good at all. It looked like a video game from the early 2000s. It's for a $100 million movie, just not good at all. And overall, I think that this is, the final nail in the coffin for the DCCU. I think they need to reboot the whole thing. It's just not working out. I thought that Flashpoint Paradox was going to be the reboot, because they were making all these changes, and I didn't agree with most of them. But it's like, all right, let's see what you pull off. And using Flashpoint Paradox as a starting off point did not seem particularly terrible to me. I didn't love it, but it's fine. You can do something interesting from there. I did not see anything interesting come out of there. Like, nothing at all. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing that gets me excited for the next movie. I'm looking at the DCCU as a whole. Well, what is it? Blue Beetle came out. It did not do well. Like, it had a good first opening weekend, and then nobody else watched it. Nobody anywhere. So that one, was a flop. The Flash was a flop. That was a bit of a shocker because the Flash is a better known superhero. But I guess people were still upset with Ezra Miller, and even Michael Keaton's star power wasn't enough. Like Michael Keaton coming back as Batman wasn't enough to get people's attention. I don't know. It's sad, but yeah, I think that was their last opportunity to save this universe or cinematic universe. And again, I thought they were going to do a reboot because they got rid of Henry Cavill. They're getting rid of apparently Gal Gadot. it's a mess, all right? It's a freaking mess. And so it's a disappointment in many, many levels. So I think I'm done. Honestly, I'm done. Like, I saw the trailer for Aquaman 2, and I was kind of excited about it at first until I saw the trailer. And it's just, I keep seeing Jason Momoa just clowning around, and it bugs me. Because sure, Jason Momoa, he's a likable guy. He's funny. He's, fun to watch. But this is Aquaman, all right? Aquaman is not known for being a clown. Now, The Flash, you could say he's a bit more of a clown, but not... Aquaman is not a clown at all, at least not any iteration that I've seen. He's dark, he's brutal, he's very severe. So I honestly expected him to be more Khal Drogo than, Jason Momoa. So seeing the trailer and seeing him just be a clown, it concerns me. Because I think they're going to do the same thing that they did to Thor, which Thor is basically a clown now, which is sad. One of the mightiest of one of Earth's mightiest heroes, and he's been reduced to a fucking clown. So that sucks. And I think they're going to do the same to Aquaman. I don't know. It's just sad. It's sad because it had a lot of potential. Maybe the execution wasn't, perfect for the DCCU, but it had potential. I liked a lot of the things that they made. It's just, the extended cuts, by the way, the director's cuts, not the theatrical versions. The theatrical versions overall, I think, have sucked. But, the director's cut stuff has been pretty good. At least I'm a fan of Zack Snyder. I like The Man of Steel. I like Batman v Superman. The extended version, I have to clarify, it's a completely different movie. I like the Justice League thing that came out that's 5 hours long. I really loved it. So, it's sad, honestly. And it sucks because they built this really dark, interesting world. And they kind of wanted to keep the aesthetics a little bit, but they didn't want to keep the dark part of it. So that part was also very disappointing. It's not very interesting to... they're becoming clowns. I don't know. This is the problem with James Gunn. I think James Gunn, in many ways... By the way, for those of you who don't know, James Gunn is one of the people in charge of the DCCU now. And for those of you who don't know who James Gunn is, he's the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Anyway, James Gunn, in many ways, due to the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of broke the superhero genre. If you remember, before Guardians of the Galaxy, superhero movies were not comedies. They were sort of serious films. I mean, there's, like, for example, Robert Downey Jr., he's a charming guy, so he did he did make you laugh several times, but it wasn't intended to be joke after joke after joke, ruining serious moments and stuff like that. It's Guardians of the Galaxy who kind of broke that mold. And it sucks because Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty good, and it fits Guardians of the Galaxy because it's a bunch of weirdo, no-name characters. Nobody even heard of Star-Lord before Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And so, based off of the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're like, oh, well, this model worked. We should use it for our other superheroes. And I don't feel like it fits. It doesn't work. In my humble opinion, it doesn't work. Especially in the DCCU, which DC's a lot more serious. DC's a lot darker. Marvel could be more, the movie universe could be more for kids. DC was not. It was heavier. It was more intense. The stakes were higher. More people died. And so, like I said, it's disappointing. But let's get into The Flash specifically, right? Because that's the movie that I'm going to talk about. So, I guess now we're going to get into a little bit of spoiler arena. But my biggest issue with the movie is, first off, you guys know I'm not a big fan of time travel stuff, right? However, Flashpoint Paradox is actually well handled, and I do enjoy. The thing that bugs me the most about this movie is how much they wanted to deviate from Flashpoint Paradox while still being Flashpoint Paradox. Now, basically they took kind of the structure of it and took out kind of all the interesting charm. So let me explain. In this movie, short version, Flash goes to the past to kind of save his mother's life, and in the process of saving his mother's life, saving his father from jail. In doing so, there's a ripple effect throughout the universe, the multiverse even, and on his way back, he gets back to the present, he gets attacked by a monster, and so he ends up coming out, I don't know, I think early 2000s, something like that, and he encounters his past self, and now they're both kind of trying to help him get back to the present because that Flash lost his powers, basically. So present Flash loses his powers, past Flash is trying to help him. So that's kind of the gist of it, right? In the original Flashpoint paradox, the Flash sort of wakes up in an alternate universe. He does a mission with the Justice League, and the next thing he knows, he's in a different dimension. He's in a different world. Things are similar, but slightly different. Slightly different in one way. In what way? For example, Superman does not exist in that world. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are at war against each other, and that war is threatening to destroy the Earth as we know it. Batman is not Bruce Wayne. This is an alternate world in where Bruce Wayne got killed, and the man who survived is actually Thomas Wayne, his father. So since his wife and son got killed, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. He's older, he's darker, he's angry. So it's a heavy storyline. It's very interesting, it's very intense, and the enemy in that film is the Anti-Flash. Now, for those of you who don't know who the Anti-Flash is kind of like the Flash's greatest nemesis. And he's a dude he's a speedster that came from the future to the past, and he basically wants to beat the Flash. In this movie, again, that's Flashpoint Paradox. Interesting stuff done by most of the characters in the DC universe, and so it's a fun movie. It's a dark movie. It's very heavy, and I love it. Again, I highly recommend that you watch it. It should be on Max if you look for it. I think it is. Now, this version of the movie, Flash, again, he's kind of stuck in the past with his younger self, who's, by the way, his younger self is a total dumbass. And I mean dumbass with a capital D, which doesn't really make much sense. Again, sure, you can be immature, but you don't, and you learn stuff, again, you become wiser with age, but you don't stop being kind of like a retard with age, or at least not in the way they show it, because young Flash is a total fucking idiot, complete and total moron. Present day Flash, he's weird, like he's sort of autistic or on the spectrum. He's bad socially. By the way, I do not love that representation of him. Like, Flash is a charming dude, at least, in comic books and TV shows and movies before. He's a charming dude. He's very likable. So making him, the decision to make him basically autistic was very weird. I didn't like it when they did it in Justice League. I don't like it now, but whatever. And so, but I guess they just want it to be funny. Again, there's a difference between being funny and making your character a clown. I don't like it when you make characters clown, and I don't necessarily blame James Gunn for that. I kind of blame the people who created the Flash TV show, because the Flash is super OP, and in order to balance him being super OP, they make him a dumbass too. He has to be a total idiot and make total idiot decisions, which, all right, fine, you need to make a CW show work, you do your best. But the character was still smart, just, he made dumb decisions, he was still smart, he had a lot of heart, the cast was likable, the character was likable. Again, very charming, very sociable. Here, Ezra Miller's just, maybe it's because I don't like that particular actor right now, but he just doesn't have that Flash charm. I don't think he has what it takes to carry an entire franchise. At least that's my humble opinion. And so, well, like I said, Flash is dealing with past Flash and trying to get his powers back so that he can go back to the present. At the same time, it's the period of time where Zod attacks Earth, and so Superman doesn't exist here, so they're trying to figure out what the hell happened there. Batman is not Ben Affleck. It's actually Michael Keaton. And the way that they explain that is so fucking stupid. So fucking retarded. It's infuriating. Now, the director and the writer thought they were insanely clever for a bunch of stuff that they did with spaghetti. There's spaghetti all over this movie. The mom is Hispanic. By the way, apparently Flash is half Hispanic. Who knew? Apparently, all this Blue Beetle being the first Hispanic superhero, the first Latino superhero. I guess the Flash was Latino first, but whatever. Anyway, so they have this Latina mom making an Italian dish, a spaghetti dish. It's weird. And again, they think they're being so fucking clever with it. Because there's spaghetti all over. There's a shot of Flash, eating spaghetti where he's twirling it all up. And the reason why I'm going off on the spaghetti is because they make the multiverse explanation for why things are different, and they use spaghetti. And it's just so fucking stupid. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, but fine. Whatever. The movie tries to hold your hand way too long. Way too long. Like I said, in Flashpoint Paradox, it's a mystery. You kind of don't know what's happening, and that makes it way more fun. In the Flash movie, they're like, well, the audience is clearly a bunch of retards, and they're not going to understand what's happening, so we're going to have to over-explain everything because this is so fucking difficult and confusing. It's not, by the way. It's actually pretty simple. You can understand it with minimal hand-holding. Again, watch Flashpoint Paradox right now, and you're going to get it. But whatever. They hold your hand way too much. They over-explain everything. It's really slow in many senses. And again, the effects are just terrible. Terrible. And they made a bunch of really stupid creative decisions. And by really stupid creative decisions, I mean it's, all right, the casting Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne instead of Thomas Wayne. Is there a reason for that? Kind of. And it's also that they could do another joke at the end. Again, it's super stupid. They should have just gone with Thomas Wayne, and it would have been 100 times better, but they didn't because they're a bunch of morons. Also, they kind of made Batman a bit of a clown, and I don't mean just, well, Michael Keaton a little bit for sure, but I mean Batfleck, and that really bugged me. Like, there's a point where in order to save Batman in Gotham City, Wonder Woman ties Batman up with, the lasso of truth and pulls him up, and so Batman just starts spewing truths because he can't take off the lasso, right? And so some of the things that he says is like, oh yeah, well, I'm too insecure to say thank you, blah blah, or I'm too proud to say thank you or something. And then there's one line, I forget the ramble, but he said something like, no, the world would probably be better off if I just gave all my money away. And it's one of those things that I'm like, dude, we saw the Justice League. Without Batman and all his funding, the world would have been taken over by Wolfens? It's not Wolfens, but that guy, or by Darkseid, by proxy, by Darkseid's lackey. They would have been taken over. You literally saved the world with your money. I think that's a good investment of your money. So I don't get it, but they're trying to add real world stuff to fictional stuff, and it's really annoying. Like real world issues into a DC issue. DC issues they have their own issues, man. They're being attacked by fucking aliens. They have way, way bigger stuff in their plate, right? They have way bigger things to handle. So it annoys me. I hate it when writers do that. But they did. And again, they wanted to be funny. They wanted to make fun of Batman. So fuck those guys. And, making Supergirl Latina. That bugs me, right? Because we all know what Supergirl looks like, what she's supposed to look like. She's one of the most iconic female characters of all time. And so they made an active decision to say, fuck you, we're doing this. Fine. Whatever. Let's say that the chick's performance, when she went to audition, she was so fucking good, so fucking talented that you're like, we just have to use her. Fine. By the way, her performance, not particularly memorable, not great, but I don't particularly blame her. It's more that in the situation where they find this particular character, she does not have really an opportunity to shine. It's she doesn't, let's say she doesn't have a lot of people skills or a personality at that point for, let's just say, reasonable reasons. But then they changed the costume. Why would they change they didn't even give her the skirt costume. It's like, why? Why would you do that? What's the logic here? What's your reasoning behind this? I don't understand. Again, it's an iconic costume. Would you make a Superman costume where Superman's not wearing a cape? Or where his suit is a tank top? You wouldn't. It's stupid, but whatever. Again, dumb little decisions that could have been easily fixed. I don't know. I need a little water. Anyway, so that's my biggest issue with the movie is how much they went out of their way to not be Flashpoint Paradox when they could have just been Flashpoint Paradox and it would have been great. Again, there's issues at the end. I'm not going to go too deep into spoilers because, if you have Max, you can just watch it for free. Well, free. And again, it's not the worst movie. I don't think I'll watch it again ever. It's got a bunch of freaking Easter eggs and stuff like that and cameos, which, all right, those are okay. And that leads me to think that, okay, the reason why they did it this way is because they wanted to add all that other stuff. It's a stupid decision. Creatively, it was a stupid fucking decision. I don't know what they were thinking, if that's what they were thinking, if that could have been better than an actual good story. But it's just dumb. Overall, biggest issue is that there's no real villain in this movie, and I've said it 1,000,000 times. 100 million times. Superhero movies, most movies are made by the villain. Villains make the movie. Because if you have a villain that's level 10, you need to make a hero that's level 11 in order to beat him, right? Or the hero needs to reach level 11 in order to beat that villain. So if you have a villain who's level 3, if you have a villain who's a jaywalker, well, Batman is not going to look as cool just beating up a fucking jaywalker, right? However, if you have a villain like the Joker, Batman looks super cool stopping the Joker. So, the biggest problem with this movie is that there's no actual villain. I mean, Zod's there, but he... how can I say? He's just kind of there. He's a complication, but not really. I don't know how to get too deep into the Zod thing without, too many spoilers. The point is, Zod doesn't feel like an imminent threat. They kind of just forget about him for a while. They just kind of leave him there. It's really bizarre. And the real technical villain, it's just silly and dumb. Again, predictable. They kind of married a few Flash's storylines, and I forget this guy's name, but they didn't mix them for the better. I don't know. Overall, the movie, major disappointment. It sucks that Michael Keaton came back just for this, because at the end of the day, it didn't work. Most of the stuff just didn't land. And again, the DCCU's dead. It's going to be very difficult for me to go to the movie theater ever again to watch a DCCU movie. Unless they bring Zack Snyder back, Henry Cavill back, and they pick up after Justice League, like pretend that everything else didn't happen, and then just pick up after the Justice League. That could maybe work. I don't know. Maybe that could get me back to the theater. But from this point on, I'll probably just wait for them to come out on Max, because guess what? It's not going to be that long. I mean, what? The Flash came out like a month ago on Max, maybe more. And it was in movie theaters during the summer. So we're still in summer. I think. Are we still in summer? I don't know. But yeah, I think we're still technically summer. So what can I tell you? I don't know. It's September 21st, so it's the last day of summer. Anyway, but I watched it earlier. So the point is, Blue Beetle, I think, is going to be out on Max pretty soon. Freaking Aquaman. I've heard a bunch of rumors about Aquaman. They're not good. Well, one of them is pretty funny. I heard that Jason Momoa used to troll freaking Amber Turd by dressing up as Johnny Depp on the set, which is, if that's true, that's pretty funny. But I've heard that they lost the tape of the movie, which is bizarre. That's not a normal thing to happen. And I also heard that they weren't gonna promote it as hard because they think they already know it's gonna flop, because again, the DCCU is dead. I don't know. It's a bunch of really weird stuff, but they just need to stop and start over from scratch, or pick up after Justice League. I don't know, either of those things. But like I said, not particularly impressed with this movie, but I think that's a good place to stop. But how long I've been, I don't even know. But I think that's a good place to stop. As always, like this video, share this channel. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. Comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario SDW and at Super Dario World. Let me see. I probably won't do anything tomorrow because I'm doing stuff after work. But my next live stream will be with my kid brother on Monday, again immediately after Monday Night Football. And I think that's it. All right, so as always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.